What's going on, guys? Mike with Marauder Tactical Group. I'm joined again with Nick.
Hello.
So we're out here today doing a little conversation and talking about kind of training on a budget, right? So we have a bunch of stuff out here. We're going to go through this list and try to find out what's affordable, but also what's accessible for people at home so the viewers can go out and they can actually hop into this stuff and start working through it and get better at shooting, because not everybody has access to the range. Thankfully, we're blessed with our range, but it's going through so people can start getting better. They can do work at home. They can have a training plan. They can start progressing their shooting career overall. I mean, Nick, you honestly got me into dry fire. Yeah. Sitting in the supply room with your blasters.
We would
never do that.
It's against policy.
That's right. But no, you got me into it. You got to kind of get me into USPSA and got me into dry fire, purchasing a bunch of stuff and trying to develop myself. So originally, like, how did you get into your dry fire journey of, I guess, learning from mistakes and spending a bunch of money so we can narrow this down into how to actually get started up, what the startup cost is, and how to put this into people's homes so they can get better?
Yeah, so for me, it started with a need, right? I wanted to do this stuff, but I literally didn't have the financial ability to do it. So I'm like, well, how can I train without spending all this crazy money, all this fancy stuff? You know what I mean? So I have the reputation now as like the budget guy, I guess, but I'm the budget guy by spending a lot of money. So does that cancel itself out? I don't know. Hopefully it's paid. I think it's paid for itself.
It's hit or miss.
But yeah, so the easiest way for me to get into it was just dry fire. You know what I mean? You don't need anything other than the gun that you already have, a holster, and some mags. And then I would say safe area to do it. Still, your gun will treat every gun as if it's loaded and all that stuff. So, but you could do it anywhere. Like you said, we didn't do it at work. We never
did it in the cost ever.
I don't know what that means. So anyways, yeah, but all you need is your own pistol or rifle or shotgun or whatever it may be. And but the big thing, like the difference between just wasting time dry firing and like actually training is having a plan. Right? So it took me a long time. I didn't realize all the fundamentals that I was poorly executing. For example, I know we talked about it earlier. Tell me about your mag.
Oh yeah. So I went and bought dummy rounds. I bought 147 grain dummy rounds because that's what I shoot in competition for USPSA. That's my carry gun ammo with 147 HSTs. But everything I do is almost the same exact weight. So if I go to draw that gun, and I'm not embarrassed to say this, like my first USPSA match, I got embarrassed. There was a larger gentleman out there who was shooting GM. He was a GM classifier, not really a GM shooter. But like my first mag change, because I trained so much with empty magazines, dude, I threw my magazine across the field and felt embarrassed, to be honest. So like dummy rounds and being able to utilize dummy rounds, so you have something similar to that exact weight. So my draw is always the same. It has the same weight to it. My magazines always feel the same as I'm doing my reloads. So everything's just consistent and constant.
Yeah, the weight was the big thing that I was going for, so I'm glad you had that experience to share.
Well, it was
similar in the sense of I would draw with a gun that was completely unloaded for my training, and then when I would actually do live fire, I would either point high or low. It would just be off. It's not the same. So being able to match that weight closely actually makes a big difference. So starting with that, getting as close as you can as that, and then having a plan. So I always have goals when I do my training. Ben Stoker actually has a book. YouTube stuff with tons of free information. Great resource.
Yeah.
But it's all free, right? It's all free online. So I was like, let's support the dude, buy his book. I think it's $22.
It's $22, guys. And what it goes through is like a step-by-step plan of like, hey, here's what I'm looking for. Here's what I'm looking on. Here's your setup notes. Here's your procedure. Here's your focus for the day. Here's the goal that you want to work for for each one of the drills. It's kind of like going to
like how to train, basically.
Yes, exactly.
He could do it better than I can in the sense of like breaking it down, why you train, how you isolate your goals, things like that. So great resources. You can also buy dry fire targets. When I started, I was using just masking tape on the wall. I don't know if you could see behind us, we have his targets already hung up that we've been messing around with all day. Those are cool because you can scale them to distance. So let's say 1 foot is actually the equivalent to 3 feet or something to that effect. So you can have a whole stage set up in your living room and have transitions with targets that are near or far, and you can maximize your space better.
And you try to do as much as you can. But yeah. going back to like having a plan when you go into it, a lot of people are like, well, I do dry fire. Like, okay, what do you do for dry fire? Some people are like, well, I practice my draw. I practice my mag changes. But it's like going to the gym and like just benching 135 over and over and over and over because it's comfortable, because you're okay with benching 135 for sets of 10 or 15 or whatever it is. But you're never going to get yourself any better than doing the same repetition consistently. So like you're really good at doing 135. Bro, I'm trying to rep out 315 one day. You know what I mean? So I want to be better and just keep progressing. And that's really why we're here today, is learning how to progress.
And one of the ways to, sorry to interrupt, one of the ways to measure your progress is a shot timer. It's a good investment. You can get apps on your phone, I think, for free.
There are a couple of free ones out there.
They're around, the timers start somewhere around $150. Just about. So that is kind of a significant investment if you're trying to train on a budget, but it really makes a difference in the sense of training on a budget and like pushing yourself, knowing what your draw time is, being able to set a part time of a second and a half, and execute your fundamentals in that time frame. Now, some of the cons to dry fire, you're not firing with a gun, so you can start developing bad habits in the sense of a loosey-goosey grip. So
yeah, that's always the downside of it. So I mean, looking at the startup cost, I mean, we talked about a lot of pros. Some of the cons you just mentioned were like, hey, some people might start getting lackadaisical, lazy with their draw, or moving at a comfortable speed. Usually dry fire is done alone by a lot of people. But the startup cost, in theory, is like just a thing of tape and then your gun. Yeah, that's really all you need. Moving up to the more bougie end, where like I can buy all these different things. Looking at some costs, I mean, the Ben Stoker targets, you have a range from $10 to 20 or 25 or so. You can get all scaled distances. You can set up exact classifiers. You can set up stages. You can use his book for everything. Dummy rounds, I mean, you're looking at 10 dummy rounds or $15 or so.
$15 on Amazon.
Usually I use cones in my house too. So I bought a stack of cones for $25. So I can set up my stages like, hey, I'm going to move from here to here. As long as my wife isn't mad at me or doing something weird, like cooking food, and I'm like running through the kitchen and trying to do dry fire around her, or my kiddo's not there. So I buy a stack of cones just so I have, set stages and I think through these things. And the last thing is a book, right? The Ben Stoker book, which is $22. So you're looking at an overall entry cost for the higher end stuff that'll last you years. I mean, those targets aren't going to go bad ever. I don't know how they would. Must
get them wet. I mean,
sure. Yeah, we'll go with that.
Yeah. There's another thing. I've never used it, but I have seen them, the dry fire mags. So some guns, the trigger doesn't reset after every shot. Yeah. You can put, I think, SIGs or one of the ones that I've seen. I'm sure there's some for
Glock has one. But yeah, dry fire mag that gives you a little click, like your trigger pull every time.
It basically just resets it for you. So, which is kind of cool. Like I said, I've never personally used them. So, is it necessary? Maybe not. But there are limitations, because if you have a single action or a structure fire gun, you only get one trigger squeeze per iteration. So,
yeah. So you're looking at a startup cost to get into it for dry fire. For the more high-end stuff that you can consistently do is like $60.
Yeah.
And that's really it. So moving on to the next one, which is a little more high-end. And I'll admit, this category gets a very, very bad rap online.
Yeah.
Consistently. It's like the people that are called fudge or role players or, I don't know, furries or what, I don't know what they're called these days anymore. What are they called? What are they called? Mill simmers? Airsofters? Are they just called straight up airsofters? All right.
Easy enough.
Right? So airsoft, I mean, you can go everywhere from the most high-end gun. I mean, so we have Daniel Defense replica here, which is pretty close to the weight. It has all the, attachment stuff on it. I mean, this gun was like $600. So this is more of the high-end one. Nick, you have a couple over here. You have your Staccato, your Beretta.
Yeah, so...
You want to talk through some of those?
It's an almost identical copy as far as the size and weight of their factory guns. Yeah. It's pretty close. It's pretty close.
They're close up
there. This was like $160, somewhere on there. And BBs, for 5,000 BBs, it's...
$20 or so.
$20, and then you get your gas, your green gas. You can also use propane. You buy the adapter for the propane, save a little bit of money with that. The adapter is probably $15, give or take a little bit, versus $30 for 2 cans.
Oh, yeah.
Again, give or take a little bit. I think the green gas seems to work just a little bit better.
For doing training at your house, I mean, like, hey, this is my competition gun. This is my carry gun. I want it to be the same weight and feel so I can go through my house and actually do that, which is actually what you got me into again, going through dry fire targets and airsoft.
Yeah, so the airsoft targets, for like $30-ish, I think is the starting price for these plate racks, and it'll last a long time. I mean, you can't shoot with anything other than airsoft because it'll just, I mean, it's sheet metal. It'll just go right through it. But when you shoot them, you get the same feedback. It makes the same ping noise, and they fall down. So it's pretty cool. You can get your family involved, make your kids set them, reset the targets for you.
That's what I was gonna say. Yeah, so that's what you do. I mean, you get your kids involved and have fun with it. So it's not like me being a weirdo walking through my house and just doing, shooting pieces of tape or something. Like, you get your
so
kids involved.
when we go outside and do it, and they know not to go in front, until I reholster it and stuff. We're pretty safe about it, but they love going and resetting the targets. So as they get bigger, hopefully it'll switch, and I'll be the one resetting targets for them.
That's right.
But
Yes, I mean, we're looking at the overall startup cost, right? Whether you're getting like the Mark 18 clone, whether you're getting, one of the pistol clones, you're buying the green gas. Green gas canister, I think, is good, like, 10,000 rounds for a 2-pack or so?
probably not quite that many. It really depends on the gun and like the temperature. There's a lot of variables, but 500 to 1,500 rounds is safe. If you get more than that, awesome. I wouldn't say 10,000.
Listen,
You could save money with that. The green gas by doing the propane. It's a little cheaper. You buy the adapter. I think this runs a little cleaner, a little more efficient, but that's an option.
yeah, so I mean, we're looking at the overall startup cost to kind of get into it. The pros of it is you can get, like Nick does, getting the family involved, having them go out and train, because safe way to train, as long as you have the PPE, like airsofters have lost eyes and stuff before.
Yeah,
like
you definitely got to have iPro.
Yeah. But your overall startup cost, even if you want to go with like the lower end side of it, you're looking at like $250.
Yeah.
I mean, you can do it in your house.
Yeah.
There are targets you can buy that have nettings and stuff in the back. So if you wanted to train inside, so I don't have BBs all over my floor, they go through the paper and the net behind will catch them, so I can reuse those BBs. There's also BBs that are completely biodegradable. So
that's what I use.
Do it outside.
When I'm outside after it rains, they just dissolve and reabsorb into Mother Earth.
That's right. That's right. Give them back to nature. So the next thing that we're getting into, right, moving up on the budget side. So far we talked about dry fire, which is very affordable and very accessible. Airsoft moving up a little bit. So the next thing is the Mantis, right?
Yeah, laser trainers. Yeah.
Yeah, laser trainers. I mean, so we went from the Airsoft, Mark 18 Airsoft, to an actual Mark 18 with the Mantis trainer, the Blackbeard in here. The startup cost is a little higher. So for this system, you're looking between like $260 on the lower side, all the way up to $377 for their new one they have. And I mean, this does provide feedback for what you're doing. I mean, it gives you a click, it shoots a laser out. You're using the same gun, same weight, same feel. But how would you actually use this? Like, how would you use it at your house?
Yeah, so just like dry fire, I could set up targets and I could use it like that. There's apps on your phone that you can get, and targets that'll sense your hits, so you can set up a stage and you can run through the stage. However, one of the big limitations with this is the visible laser. It's cool, it's a good selling point, but what happens a lot of times is you shift to target focus shooting and you lose your fundamentals with like the SIRT pistols. They have the setting where you can do laser on the take up and a laser on the trigger break, which is nice for some scenarios, but overall, when I tried it, I used one a lot for a couple weeks. I borrowed one and just used it like every day. And then when I went to the range, I noticed that I was almost exclusively doing target focus shooting, which has its place, right? But for the purposes of what I was trying to accomplish, I kind of went backwards. So to counteract that, there are some new models that have infrared lasers, which is sweet because that will negate that. And then basically the big disadvantage of that system is now eliminated.
Yes.
I don't know if it probably costs a little bit more for the IR version. I'm not sure, but I would say that that's probably worth it.
Yeah, that's the biggest downside is so many people doing peeking. Even if I'm zeroing target, if like I'm going to the range, right? And I've seen in the military so many times where people shoot and they peek over their optic.
Yeah.
Like, brother, look down your optic, right? You know that round was a hit because I'm looking through my optic. All my fundamentals were correct. I watched that round break, and I know that's a hit where it needs to be. And there's no reason to peek your head up and be like, oh, man, did I hit that 150 target? Did it go down?
Yep.
Like, I know I did
Exactly
it.
what happens.
Everything is good. Yeah.
Because you want to see, you can't, if it's not tracked on an app, you can't see where that hit is without looking where the laser is. So, and if you let go of the trigger, it goes away. So you're immediately trying to see where it's at. And it could build some bad habits. So there is a place for them. I really like this system with the trigger reset and the infrared version. That's a pretty sweet option. You just have to be efficient and smart when you're planning your training so that it doesn't make you go backwards.
Yeah, I mean, it's fun to play with friends too.
Yeah.
So like even if like I was shooting this and I was shooting a Sage, you were like, dude, you hit that no shoot back there.
Yeah.
Did I hit that no shoot? That's right. Keeping each other humble at all times. I mean, in talking about working to friends, the next thing is Ace VR, right? It's VR, man.
It's cool.
Yeah,
it's pretty cool.
It's pretty legit. I mean, Kim, how many rounds do you have through your Ace VR?
Probably 70.
70,000 or so.
70,000.
Kim, you said you've had 80 or so on there, I think?
85.
85,000. I think I just broke the 100,000. I'm waiting for Ace VR to send me my cool little coin that Cam and Keane were telling me about. Like, I really hope that thing comes in pretty soon. Like, that'd be cool. But yeah, like Ace VR, it's a little more expensive. And then the ability for you to do it everywhere. Yeah, you gotta be a weirdo and like I gotta put my VR stuff on. I gotta close myself off from the world. There are some limitations. Like if I was shooting it down here, I'm gonna make my box of where I'm able to shoot. So some stages I can do, some stages I can't do. So if you're limited on space inside of your home, this one's still good because you can shoot everything stationary. And on top of that, like this is this staccato Ace VR gun that I can run out of my holster.
Nice.
So I can practice my draws, I can practice all my stuff, just like I was doing something in competition. So you said you recently got yours, right, Nick?
Yeah. My round count is a little more embarrassing compared to you guys. I only have like 4,000 rounds fired on it so far.
But you said you got that in a day.
Yeah, a day or two. I didn't like it at first, mainly because I had to set up like a meta account and all this stuff. So I tried to use like a burner email and make like a fake birthday. They caught on to me. I had like my VPN, all this other stuff, and it was suspended in like 30 seconds. So I'm like, this sucks. So once I put my like actual info in, then I was able to get in and use it, and I'm like, okay, it's cool. I had the opposite experience with the holsters though. I had to buy their holster. It didn't fit in my carry holsters. So maybe a limitation with that. However, it's cool. I brought it to work and let everybody there try it, and I think like 2 guys there like ordered it that night. They're like, this is awesome. I'm in. So. It's cool, and I haven't done the online stuff that you've talked about yet. Yeah, that's a cool feature that, can you tell me more about the online stuff?
Yeah. So, I mean, with Ace VR and stuff, we talk about all these different things, whether I'm doing airsoft, which you can kind of do with your friends, the Mantis, you can somewhat do with your friends. But being able to play with my friends, I mean, I live up in Cleveland, you live down south of me, and I can't see you all the time, but like hopping in and actually pushing your friends, and you could run your mouth at each other like, oh, dude, you sucked on that stage. That was horrible. So getting other people involved and just having fun while you're doing this, that's one downside of so much stuff and why people don't want to go to the gym or go do dry fire and work out for it is, I wouldn't even say discipline. It's just like, hey, I'm going to do this by myself. Like this isn't as fun unless you have the utmost drive where you're obsessed with it to go do it. So being able to hop on, like you and I hopping on once a week and getting into Ace VR and then just doing it together, catching up and having time with friends. Because a lot of the stuff, I mean, shooting sports as a whole, I think is turning into a very social game. And I want to have fun. I want to have fun with my friends while I do this. I want to make it a good time. And those are the huge cons. The price is a little up there. So you're looking at, your headset, you're looking at, I think headsets right now are about $300 for the MetaQuest.
Yeah, give or take. You can maybe find some deals on like Marketplace or eBay and things like that. I bought mine refurbished to save some money, like certified refurbished, and I haven't had any problems with it yet.
Good.
I mean, I had a week, but
anything could happen.
yeah, seriously. So I want to circle back to what you had said there about being able to find people that are basically better than you to push you. I think that's a really important component of training of any type, whether it's on a budget or not, is if you are like the guy in your group, you need to seek out somebody else to look up to when you're shooting, even if it's somebody on the internet, which has its own, pros and cons, right? But you want to go to the range. I know we do with each other when we go to the range. Like we push each other, and it gives you a good measurement of like where your abilities are with your peers. So I'm not saying you're better than me though.
Oh, whatever. I look up to you, buddy.
I appreciate that.
And then the Ace VR system. So you got to get the gun. They have specific guns. You might be able to 3D print them or find them somewhere online.
We'll talk about 3D printing here in a minute.
But it's $199. That gives you the gun. It gives you the application. Unfortunately, there is a monthly cost. First responders and military and stuff are $14. I think standard with them is $17. So there is a monthly subscription, which, I mean, it's just like getting a gym membership, dude. Don't let it go to waste because you're paying for it anyways. Yeah. There's no reason not to use it.
Yeah. Mine, it paid for itself in the first night of use.
Yeah.
It tracks how many rounds you fire. and what the estimated cost per round would be. So over time, it'll tell you how many hundreds or thousands or tens of thousands or more dollars you've saved on ammo comparatively. So that's how I look at it in the money saving sense. Is there is some cost up front. There are some subscription fees. However, as long as you're utilizing it properly, like, it pays for itself quickly.
Well, the biggest downside of this that we haven't covered for the HVR is people hunting the scores, right? I shoot that
gaming it.
single classifier 10,000 times. And of course, every time you start this, it says, you know, make sure your gun's pointed down, otherwise it won't start. And I know some people just angle that gun down so they can flick it up faster and everything. Versus coming from a holster and making it into a training event. And I've been at fault where I know there's one stage and I'm like, I know I can get a little better at this one. I know I can do this one a little faster this time and a little better and a little better. And at that point, like, I'm not even watching targets. I know, like, from point A to point B, that's how far my gun has to move to get over to that target. So that's the biggest downside is people try to game it a whole bunch versus making it into a training event, like trying to get the most out of it, or know when they're getting into fatigue and they need to stop or dial down that training. Like, hey, I'm done with this for now.
Absolutely.
Which brings us into our last one, which is honestly the best one that we have up here, which is live fire. Of course, everybody wants to use it. So looking at doing live fire on a budget. I mean, you brought some of your 22 conversion kits. You know, we're looking at price of ammo. We have 9mm, which is in between 20 and 25 cents. You have 5.56 between 35 and 45 cents. That's as we're filming. Who knows if we're gonna prices are gonna skyrocket here again soon.
In an hour, and it's going to be crazy.
And then you, on the cheaper side, right, you have a little bit of upfront cost to get a 22 conversion slide, and then 22 right now is 4 or 5 cents.
Yeah. In some states, depending on where you live, it's like a whole ordeal to buy another handgun. As of now, most states allow conversion slides, and like Nelson Custom Guns, they only ship with 10-round mags, so they can ship to pretty much anywhere. So if you already have a 1911 or a 2011, you can buy their conversion slide and throw it on. Same with Advantage Arms. They have generation-specific Glock conversion kits. Because I've heard people make the counter like, well, why wouldn't I just buy a Glock 44 and 22 caliber? I'm like, I mean, that's a great argument. However, maybe they can't get that in their state, or maybe they can't, for whatever reason, they can't get that. Or maybe they want to have an upper that's more similar to their trigger pull, you know, because a lot of rimfire conversions, the trigger pull is different. So here I have an Advantage Arms conversion slide for a Glock 19, and you literally just pull your slide off and put this one on, change your magazines, and you're ready to rock. And it's that easy. Now, again, there's still some downsides, right? You're not getting the same recoil sensation. You have to have the same range requirements as you would with your whatever your center fire gun is, right? In the sense of, I need a safe backstop. I need, you know, all the same requirements.
So those are a lot of the big pros to it. I mean, one of the cons is you have to have a range to go to. And just like we said in the beginning, luckily we're blessed that we have this up here. If you have the ability to go to the range and pay for the range, there's no reason why you shouldn't get that conversion kit to go through all the same exact fundamentals of marksmanship, even with rifle or pistol, and just make yourself better at it. It's more cost affordable, but you still have to be able to go out there and have somewhere to do.
And if your state allows suppressors, 22s are very easy to suppress. And so it's a lot of fun. It's great to get other people involved too. Maybe you have a spouse or kids that the noise is scary to them, so you want to get them started on it. And so you could throw a can on, and it totally changes the shooting experience and makes it a lot of fun. So
yeah, it's an awesome intro gun too. For a lot of people who have never held a handgun, like, hey, I'm going to show you this one, the most dialed down tone that we could possibly do in the world. And then throw the suppressor on. I was like, dude, this is shooting a pellet gun right now. Like, it's awesome. It's a lot of fun. I mean, or if you have the ability and you have the money, just go out and do live fire. I mean, that's the number one, I guess, goal that we all want to do is have enough money to go do live fire every single day. And like, unfortunately, like the cost of it, the range time, dude, it's frozen outside right now. Like, I don't want
and if you don't live near a range, you might have an hour or more in travel time to that range. A lot of ranges have rules that, you know, no draws from the holster, no rapid fire, no, you know. So you're really limited on what training you can do. And that's why we wanted to talk about a lot of this stuff, because when you're doing this, like the airsoft, the dry fire, the VR, you're not limited by those range rules. So you can get your practice draws, you can get your movements, you can get your reloads, you can get all that kind of stuff in. So
yeah, which brings us back to that very first point, is to have a plan as soon as you're going into it. I mean, if I'm going to go use ammo and spend money, I better have a plan of something I want to get better at.
Whenever I when I go to the range, I typically have a plan with goals of what I'm trying to do. So I get a lot out of a 50 round box of ammo.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, like the days of me just going and, like
I don't got that money no more.
yeah, that's long in the past. I have to be more efficient, and I still have fun. I had people make comments about like, you're not fun to shoot with. I'm like, I understand we're just at different phases in our like shooting journey. Like I am still having fun, but I'm trying to progress and learn. And you're like happy to just be blasting, right?
Yeah.
Lists. So, and that's okay.
That's okay.
I was there, and I have spent my money on ammo for sure. So, but
Yeah, so there's one. I mean, the last thing that we have for an honorable mention. By the
we
way,
got
guys.
2 things actually.
Oh, two things. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
In the terms of saving money, it's worth mentioning 3D printers. So this is a factory 22 conversion mag. I want to say they're between $30 and $40. This is a 3D printed 22 conversion mag, and I think the total cost is like $2, if that. And the main cost is the spring to put inside of it. So you can make a bunch of mags out of one roll of filament. Additionally, if it's legal in your state, you can make other accessories or even the firearm itself, right? This one, where we live, it's illegal to manufacture your own firearms. So that's a legally manufactured frame for that conversion kit. So that's pretty cool. Depends on the price, right? To get there's like anything, you have your really high-end stuff that's like crazy money, and then you have your more entry-level budget stuff that it can get you there, but it might not be as good. But you can 3D print targets, you can print accessories, the frames, the mags. The sky is really the limit, and a lot of these files are available for download. You can make your own files too if you're like, I want to make a USPSA torso target out of plastic, like, because it's going to last longer than my cardboard. Cool. Yeah, you can do that. You know what I mean?
I've even seen people 3D print their targets and then put magnets and stuff on the back. So you can set up, and I mean, full stages, it doesn't ever wear and tear like cardboard does over time.
Exactly.
It's almost indestructible.
Yep. So definitely cool if you have that as an option. It's come a long way, and I highly recommend checking it out because the possibilities are endless as long as you stay within the law, of course.
That's right.
The other honorable mention is simunitions.
That is the final honorable mention.
Yeah.
So you're looking at very able, like I can shoot simunitions in my house, but holy moly, is the price absurd. You're looking at 50 cents to $1 a round.
Yeah, it doesn't really fit into the category of like training on a budget. However, I think it should be mentioned because it really enhances your training abilities, especially if you're getting into like force on force.
Oh yeah.
Things like that. You can use your firearm. So I have a few examples here. You can hold that other one up if you'd like. So this is a Glock 17 Gen 4 with a simulation conversion slide, and that's a Glock 22 Gen 3. So the slides are usually generation specific. Some guns take slides, some guns take the barrels, like Berettas and SIGs. A lot of them you can just drop the barrel into. Finding the ammunition can be a challenge at times. Finding the slides and stuff. Buying it new is extremely expensive and almost they won't sell to you directly. You have to buy everything secondhand. So like eBay, Gunbroker, Tax Swap. I don't know about Marketplace because I don't have Facebook, but that kind of stuff to find, used deals on that stuff is the way to go. So the price range is anywhere from, I've gotten used SIG barrels for $25 all the way up to your Glock slides being several $100s. So, and then the rounds, you're probably looking about 50 cents a round.
Yeah. That's just for your 9mm ones.
Yeah, that's just for 9mm. Yeah. You get conversion bolts for ARs, and MP5s. They even make like 12 gauge pump action conversions. Yeah, you put a little like insert in the chamber, and then he uses 38 special with an insert. It's kind of goofy. They're not that popular, but it's still.
There's probably a reason why.
Yeah, exactly. It's a neat option that somebody thought of. It can enhance your training when it comes to force on force because you could be using your actual firearm if you carry one of the ones that they make the kits in that you can find. Doesn't really fit in the budget criteria. You know what I mean? So
if looking at all these different options, right? We ran through, dry fire, we ran through airsoft, we ran through the Mantis system, the VR system, live fire, even with the 22 conversions, and then the sim rounds and the super out of the category to an extent, the dimensions.
Yeah.
So which one would you recommend that people start getting into? I mean, would you look at the more cost effective and availability? Would you go into a little higher end? What would you recommend?
So if I was going to do it all over again and I had the knowledge I have now, but I was starting from nothing, I would just start with dry fire. That would be the first thing because it doesn't really cost that much. You probably already have the stuff. So I would do dry fire, and then I would probably lean towards the ACE system. I think it can't replace your dry fire and your live fire training, but I think it could be a pretty cool supplement. I think time will tell for me. You guys have more experience with it than I do, so I'm getting a lot of head nods and then yeses and stuff. So yeah, so dry fire,
basically head nodding
yeah,
right now.
yeah,
so,
seriously, dry fire, and then a system like that is pretty cool. It is a little more expensive, like we already talked about, but man, so far it's paid for itself. Since I've gotten that, I haven't touched the airsoft stuff, and the conversion slide I haven't really touched as much either, only because of I haven't had the opportunity to go to the range for a couple of weeks. So when I do go to the range, I'll use it.
Yeah, I'm in the same exact boat. If I were to do it all over again, reinvest my money the other way, it would be getting a book that has the exercises and the workouts, so I can correctly train or find out what I wanted to work on. I would just download one of the free shot timer apps that can just set up hard time of what I want to beat and what I want to get better on. And then I would just buy dry fire targets. Yeah. If I wanted to step that up a little more, as well as just another way to do stuff, absolutely, I agree, dude. That HBR is solid. Yep. Just for the amount of reps and the amount of downtime that you don't have jumping between stages, you're bang for the buck for it's awesome.
Yeah. And something that's cool about that we didn't talk about too is when I do dry fire at home, if I'm doing it like after my family goes to bed, I can't really my house isn't big enough to just be dropping mags on the floor and racking the slide and having a timer go off. However, I can turn the volume down on the ACE system and do all these drills, and I won't wake anybody up. So
you do it from your bed, don't you? I can see you laying down.
No.
I'm just getting out. Yeah, whatever.
You can do it from the car though.
Well, now we're talking some crazy here.
But anyways, your imagination is the limit, right? Just be smart about your training, really, and have a plan is the absolute biggest one, I think. Having a plan and a goal, I should say.
Good. Yeah, again, guys, if you don't have a plan, if you don't have a goal, if you're not going out there and training, these are all great options to do. Nick, do you have any final thoughts or anything?
Not really. Thanks for having me today. I appreciate it.
Of course, dude.
Get the opportunity.
Of course. And guys, again, go out there, go get training. Even if it's you going and using this as a general guide so you can go out and get better at your marksmanship, your training, you have to have a plan with it, right? You can invest all the money in the world, but if you're not utilizing it and making yourself any better, you just have a bunch of cool paperweights and toys. So, guys, we always have training up on our website, maraudertacticalgroup.com. And as always, be ready to march at a minute's warning.